I had the privilege of introducing and inviting a very distinguished set of gentlemen who are going to be here talking to us about something that we always think about but aren't very sure whether we are thinking right or wrong. And this is about the new age thinking. And I think a lot of us, the likes of me from the old school, we always are challenged, have you started to think new? Have you started to think future? And I sometimes ask, I am on the social media, I am doing, Facebook or LinkedIn, but I'm not too sure if that is called new age thinking, because I'm trying to contribute or at least learn from what everybody else is contributing, but I'm never sure if I'm actually thinking the way people expect me, or am I even on the track on the new age thinking. So those are the questions I also have, and I'm sure all of you are mulling over that. So hopefully the gentleman that I'm going to be having with me on the stage for the next half an hour, 45 minutes, will throw some light on what they have done in their lives. And hopefully, some of their thinking, some of their experiences are going to actually challenge us ourselves and bring in more clarity into what we really want to do to refine our thinking, which hopefully will help us become better individuals. So first up, I have the pleasure of inviting Amit Agarwal. May I have him on the stage with me here? Amit. Amit he's got a very unconventional background, and as I read about it, you realize that he's someone who's passed out from IIT Roorkee in computer science and started to work with ADP. But I think soon he realized that was not his calling, and that's when he decided to really go after his passion for digital, the ecosystem that he was part of, and the kind of knowledge he had acquired, while studying and also working with ADP, he thought to put it to better use, and that's when he took on to the social media, created a blog, and has been on it ever since. I think a lot of us believe that we blog, right? We also blog, which means we write a travel blog, cookery blog, or we are going on a trip, we talk about that. But here's a gentleman who only blogs, right? And that to me is very amazing, and I'm really curious to know, how he started to do that, how did it transition from being a full-time employee to a full-time blogger, and what all he has done to really pick up the accolades along the way. The kind of work he has done, and so that you all know it, he's actually doing a lot of videos on the social media, do it yourself, why should you do it, what you should do about the various consumer, software products that we have in the market, the mobile apps. He's a pro in that, a Gyan guru actually. And I'm sure while he's talking, you might want to Google that, or even after the session, catch up with him and see if you can really get inspired from the kind of work he's done on the web. And given that kind of work he's done, a lot of companies have actually recognized, and the likes of Microsoft, Google have given him special recognition because through his work, he's actually helping people understand these products better. And to me, that's a great recognition because typically when you're working for a company recognizes you. But if you're doing it on your own as a freelancer and somebody actually takes notice and recognizes you, to me, that's a brilliant accolade to have. And congratulations on that, Amit. He comes from Agra, the land of Taj, and I'm sure in the next 20-25 minutes that he's going to be talking about, he will walk us through the personal branding and how you can build your own personal brand, and of course the transition that he has experienced and gone through, and I'm sure some of us will stay inspired from hearing from him. Welcome to this session on behalf of CII HR panel Telangana, and I hope to really listen from you. Please take a seat. The next gentleman I'm going to introduce, again, I just met him a while ago, and very inspired. I was going through his brief profile that was given to me, and I'm sure everybody's waiting to hear what he has to offer. He's someone who's born with a camera alongside him. A lot of us today, when we go out to buy a mobile phone for ourselves or anybody, I think one of the key things that we all look at is the camera. It's no longer about a device that you can use to talk to each other, but a lot of us are actually looking at the kind of camera the phone has. I personally also do it. And the reason why we do that is because while we'll finish with a call, that will be forgotten, but the kind of pictures will click of the people around us, of the various occasions that we are all part of. We want to keep them with us, make memories out of it. But here's a gentleman who makes his living out of creating pictures that mesmerizes everybody around. And the benchmark is the likes of pictures that we see from National Geographic, Discovery Channel, and those kind of places. We really get inspired, and it's very, very interesting to see the kind of images that come up from people who are behind the camera, clicking those images and bringing them to life for ourselves on our phones, on our devices. So we have here with us Arvind Chenji, who's a cameraman, a photographer, of the finest quality that we can think of. He's very much a Telangana person. We're very happy and to have you here in Hyderabad in this conclave. And he's also, the president of the Telangana Photography Society. I think a whole lot of people who are, learning to shoot pictures or who are already there, halfway through the journey or have become an ace. He's someone who's inspiring them every single day. And apart from that, I think the other thing that he does, which really caught my attention, is he's also running the cycling club for the children, and trying to bring them up in the world of competition. And through a mode of cycling, I think he's inspiring a lot of people to do better and pick up that spirit of competitiveness. And to me, I think that's really a key for success in the future. So with that, I'm going to introduce welcome Arvind onto the stage. Please give him a big hand, ladies and gentlemen. The kind of photographs he's done, I think he's picked up a lot of contracts with the best of the breed companies out there, the hospitality industry especially, the Taj Group, the Marriott Group, the ISTA. The images that you see from these hotel hospitality companies, they're beautiful. And now you know the person behind those pictures, right? That's Arvind here. And of course, a lot of other companies, Swarovski, we are all always looking at the shelves behind those glasses. The pictures that come to us through the various social media advertisements or the magazines, here's a man who makes them look so beautiful for all of us. Arvind, thank you so much for being here. And he's also going to talk about new age thinking and how we can use that to our advantage and build that personal brand. I hope in the next half an hour, through their journey line, we'll be able to actually pick up things that can actually help us in our daily lives. And I'm sure there'll be some questions as we wrap it up. So with that, I'm going to ask Amit to come up and take the time. Thank you, Amit. Please.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Amit Agarwal, and I'm delighted to be here. Now, before I even talk about my personal journey, I have a small confession to make. This is an HR conclave, and I run a one-person company. I have no employees, and whatever things have to be done, whether it is writing articles, producing videos, making new software, or even providing technical support, I do that all myself. So HR and I am like completely alien subjects. So it all started almost 20 years ago. I had graduated fresh from college, IIT Roorkee, as he mentioned. I was a computer science engineer. And I had joined Wilco, that was in Somaji Goda. And then Wilco became ADP, and then Broadridge happened, and that's where I met Rajita, and that's the reason why I'm here. So I was working as a software engineer in ADP, and I was doing pretty well, as all software engineers do. But there was something missing. I was in Hyderabad, and my family was in Agra, some 2,000 kilometers away. And I was leading the good corporate life, but I was definitely missing them. So after I worked for like 5 years in this company, I thought I'll move back to my hometown, that is Agra. It was obviously a very risky decision, but I decided to take the plunge just because I wanted to stay with my family in Agra. And so I moved back. Now, Agra is, as all of you know, is very, very famous. It's a very popular tourist destination, and it's famous for that white building that's called the Taj Mahal, right? But the problem is that the tech scene in Agra is like virtually non-existent. There's absolutely nothing related to tech. I was a core techie at heart, but people in Agra at that time would assume that a computer engineer is somebody who would help fix the connection between their computer and mobile phone, or somebody who would help them design a website, or maybe somebody would help them buy a mobile phone. Now, I could do neither of that because I was a core programmer, and my core skills were writing, right? So I could not do any of that. Then what I tried to did, I wanted to stay in touch with technology while being in Agra, so I decided to look for work online. So there were so many other online websites where you could find freelance work, but I did not get any success in that. And the reason was very, very simple. I had done some good work, some good projects while I was at ADP, but all those were like private projects. I did not have anything real public work to show. Plus, I did not have a public profile. I did not have a public, like a web presence. So it was very, very difficult for somebody across the Atlantic to research me and trust me and send me work. So that's also, I was failing at that stance as well. And then at the same time, I started a blog. I started a technology blog that was called Digital Inspiration, and I was writing about technology. So that was in 2004. So I was trying to write about technology, but the idea was that I write in a language that even my mom and dad could understand. So I was trying to explain things, technical jargon and stuff that every regular non-tech users could understand. Now, blogging is very, very popular today, but if you look back in 2004, things were very, very different. There were bloggers in country, but I would say there were only a handful of bloggers, and the number of tech bloggers was like very, very less. And I was consistently writing new stuff, and people were keep returning to my stuff to read, and the blog was really, really becoming popular in the country. So how do I know whether the blog was picking up? The primary reason was like I could see the engagement on my blog. People were leaving comments, and the other websites were linking to my website, and there was online chatter about the blog, so that's how you could figure out that actually people were reading your blog. And around the same time, what happened was Google launched something called AdSense. I'm not sure if you have heard of that program. This is an HR conclave, but AdSense is basically a program that helps you monetize your website, but without having to hire a sales team. So basically, they give you a snippet of code that you just plug into your website, and instantly, whether it's a visitor from US or from Germany or from Australia, they get to see ads on your website, and that's how you monetize it. So essentially, since I was a techie and a writer at heart, and sales was not my area, so I was focusing on the writing part, and AdSense took care of all the bills. And as the eyeballs, it's a very simple game of maths. Basically, the more eyeballs you have on your website, the more revenue you make. So suddenly, because of all the eyeballs that I had, and because of AdSense, suddenly it became a full-time profession for me, and I was doing well in that. And this thing became quite popular in India. How could a chap who is living in the bylanes of Agra, and he's trying to make a life off the internet just because of his blog? And suddenly you had all these news channels from NDTV to CNN, IBN, and all these channels, they're landing on my doorstep, covering the story, how this chap is doing it. And blogging really picked up in India around that time, because people realized the potential, and they could understand that there is a way to make a living out of it. And suddenly, blogging became a very competitive landscape. To the outsider, it almost felt that you could be sitting at your home in front of your laptop and just writing a few words in your pajamas, and you're making money out of it. But the reality, I think, was very, very different. If I compared my life to my corporate life that was just a year ago, I was probably putting in more hours than I was putting in my 9-to-5 job. And this blogging thing, when people come to you and they don't find something new, they return disappointed. So it becomes more like a beast. You have to keep feeding it, and it's always hungry for more. So blogging, it was all blogging that I was doing. And the fortunate part was I was enjoying it, because technology was my passion, and I would have been doing it even if it had not been for the blog. So, and here I was writing about a subject that I'm really passionate about, and I'm still getting paid for it. It's like you getting paid to pursue your hobby. So it was really, really a good time for me. And around 3 years back, I launched a software startup called Digital Inspiration, where I make software products around G Suite and Google Apps. Now, I did not spend I did not spend even $1 on advertising this startup, and still it has a million users across the globe. And you name probably any global company, any university in US, they are our clients. And the only reason why they are our clients is because of my blog. So the blog is everything. Whenever I create something new, I write about it on my blog. I probably create a video about it on YouTube. That video goes as a podcast on iTunes. And I have a newsletter where I write about it. So that's all the effort I put in whenever I create new stuff. And suddenly, that product becomes into a successful product. People from across the globe are trying it and buying it. So essentially, when you have a good presence, people can research you online, and they turn from regular, casual visitors to your blog into paying customers. So in this online world, in these, like I have like 15 years experience, and what I found is, just like your offline world, in the online world, what matters most are what your connections, your degrees, they definitely help. But I think what matters more in this online world is your consistency, your honesty, and the most important of all is your ethics. So essentially, the audience that we have on the internet, they are always 10x smarter than you. So if you try to write something on topics that you are less knowledgeable about, if you don't know something about, they're very, very easy to figure out, and they'll immediately call you out. So me being a techie, if I start writing about HR, I can never be successful. I could probably do 1 or 2 articles, but in the long run, I can never make a mark because that's not my forte. In the recent years, if you have seen the number of platforms where you can publish your stuff, it has exploded in recent years. So you have things like Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Medium, and so many more. But in my personal experience, what I feel is that your website should be the single source where all your stuff should go. Because these social channels, they may appear indispensable today. But anyone remember the fate of, say, Orkut or MySpace, right? They are no longer there. So if you are building a community on just one social channel, and if this social channel happens to disappear for whatever reason, your community is gone. So I personally believe that whatever stuff, whatever content we are creating, I think that should first go on your website. And these social channels, they should probably be used only to amplify your content. They should not be the places where you build your community. So the other good thing about internet I have found is, like, you should have the policy of give, and they will come back. So I tend to share whatever knowledge I have on the internet through my blog, through my tweets, or through my Facebook stories. So the idea is that you keep giving them away stuff, and they'll keep coming back. So whenever I discover an interesting website, or maybe a useful hack, or any interesting discovery I make on the internet that I feel others would find useful, I almost always share it. And the idea is that if you keep sharing stuff, and if people who are reading you and they find good stuff on your site, they'll keep coming back for more. So that helps. The other thing that I have found is that helps grow your presence on the internet is, don't just share news, share insights, and share how some news may affect someone, how it may help improve their work. So I'll give you an example. For instance, let's assume Google launches a new feature in Gmail, right? So that's a news, right? Google has added a new feature in Gmail. That's a news. But if you can figure out how this feature can help improve the productivity of an employee, or how it can help do their job better, I think it will really, really help improve your readership and your online presence. The other very important area that I want to discuss is something called ethics. Now, Blogging was a very respectable profession back when I started, but I will be very frank, it has become a derogatory word now. And the very, very simple reason is because the ethics part has somewhat disappeared. Bloggers, we have become more like influencers, and we are working with brands, and we are posting positive reviews about brands, sometimes in return of either cash or sometimes in return of free products. I think this is a very, very gray area, and personally, I feel that this doesn't help your online reputation in the long run, and especially when this material connection is not disclosed to your readers. And the last thing is that I want to share is that whatever you publish online, whatever word, whatever tweet, whatever video you publish online, that is going to stay there forever. Even if you delete it from your website, from your channels, somebody somewhere would probably take a screenshot, somebody somewhere would have a copy of it, and it's like going to stay there on the internet forever. So, in other words, there's absolutely no delete button on the internet. So, have good intentions while writing something online, and don't, when you are drunk or when you're angry, don't write. And the good idea is to do a mom test before you put anything on the internet. The mom test is, if you write something, would my mom approve of it? If you think the answer is yet, it is probably good to go on the internet. Thank you.